Alright, so describe yourself in as much elaborate detail as possible that still renders you anonymous or leveled of acceptable comfort.
Oh, um, I think I'm pretty cool. I'm pretty chill. I like talking to people. Um, I enjoy making friends. I like being the funny guy. Um, and yeah, I can't really think of much else that kind of caught me off guard.
Yeah, it's a hard question to answer. Do you have any more detail than that?
Um, I mean, if you have more probing questions, that might be a bit better, but
Alright, I'll just move on to the next question
okay.
then. Why are you interested in knowing your type? I'm telling you to, so like,
Yeah,
I'm
that's okay.
doing
Well, I
this.
mean, I think it'd be interesting.
You
So,
would?
yeah, I think it'd be
Yeah.
interesting.
Um, do you go to work and or school? And if so, what field occupation slash subjects?
I go to school. I'm taking 6 AP level courses this year, and then Spanish 1 and band. So,
Yeah, those are just all your classes.
yeah.
Alright. Um, remember to like elaborate on these as much as you possibly can.
Okay.
Alright. Um, describe your upbringing. Did it have any kind of religious or structured influence? How did you respond to it?
So there's a lot of religious influence, like Protestant Christianity. Um, like growing up, there's a big influence in both like our family and like our extended family. How I responded to it, well, I was mostly very receptive, like when I was young, because I think that's how most people are. Um, but now I just don't really care. Like, it just doesn't really seem like a big deal.
Hmm.
And it kind of, I think it can lead people to kind of cultish situations. But
Yeah. Um, uh, do you need logical consistency in your life?
I think for the most part, yeah. Like, I get really upset if like I'm at least like argumentatively, like if I'm talking to someone and like what I'm saying, I don't really believe because it's not really consistent with any sort of like logic that I've used previously. Um, it bothers me. But like in my day-to-day life, like if there's something that comes across and it like doesn't make sense, I'm just like, okay. Like I don't really care that much. If that's what the question was asking.
I guess it depends on your interpretation,
Yeah.
really. How curious are you? Do you have more ideas than you can execute? What are your curiosities about? What are your ideas about?
I think I'm pretty curious. I like just sort of understanding like the natural world in the sense that I'm like when it came to like the classes I'm taking AP Physics and AP Chemistry, just 'cause I think it's interesting to know how things work, like even at like a microscopic level or at like the macroscopic level. I just think it's interesting. Um, yeah, especially when like how people behave. Um, I think it's fun to talk about that. Like, why do people do the things they do? Things like motivated reasoning and like cognitive dissonance is fun.
Hmm. Okay. If money was not an issue, what career slash job would you have?
If money wasn't an issue, um, I don't know. I think it would be fun to be like a teacher. I'm probably not gonna be a teacher because they're paid so little, but I think being a teacher would be fun.
Okay. Um, are you a free spirit or do you play by the rules? If so, why?
Um, I think I'm generally sort of a free spirit. Um, I mean, I'm sure there are some like rules that I tend to follow without thinking about it, like the fact that I know that I'm gonna be like working as like a slavery to wages, or like I know that like there's like certain laws that I should follow, of course, but when it comes to like sort of constructs that don't really mean anything in terms of like rules, I don't really care. Like when it comes to like I guess tradition in like um gender or like tradition in like how men and women should act, like I'm just like whatever, like you do you. um I'd identify as like a cis male, but like I don't care about the rule, if that makes sense, that people sort
Okay.
of made.
Um, if I asked you to take a shot with a football, how would that make you feel? Would you be able to do it well? Would you enjoy it?
To get shot with a football, I could probably throw a football pretty far, like comparatively to a lot of people I know, but I know a lot of losers, so.
Okay. If I asked you to write me an essay, would you enjoy it? What would it be about? How would it make you feel?
I don't know. When it comes to like writing an essay, I'd probably write about something like, it depends on the subject. If I'm writing like an essay for like a push, I'd probably write about, I think it'd be fun to write about like the Gilded Age. I think that's interesting. Like the time where like people were really racist still after slavery, and they found ways to disenfranchise black people as best they could. And then also at the same time, corporations started to form, cities started to form. We started using steel and stuff like that. That just kind of stuff is really interesting. If I was writing for like a plaque, it would probably be a paper about like why people tend to why people are so resistant to like getting new information and like dig their heels in the ground every time they hear a new side.
Interesting. Is it okay to crack a few eggs if it makes an omelet? Do the ends justify the means?
I don't really think so. Like it, of course, it depends on the means. Like, it's really something you'd have to weigh. Like, if you're given, I don't know. Like, if you have to like, let's say the means are like beating someone up, but it saves someone's life, then like that makes sense. But if you're keeping someone from being beat up, but in the process you're killing people, it's different. You know, like I feel like there's definitely stuff you have to weigh. And if by ends justify the means you mean like you do bad things, but ultimately like it's for the greater good, you could make an argument for that, I guess, but it just doesn't feel very convincing to me.
I see. Do you put things back in their proper place?
No. No, I do not. I'll often drop things and not remember dropping them, like just walking around. So.
Okay. How do you behave around strangers, acquaintances, and friends?
Around friends, I'm a lot nicer. Around strangers, I'm pretty quiet. And around acquaintances, I can be pretty fun.
Okay. Do you have exquisite tastes that you would expend effort or money for?
No. I mean, I like Forged in Fire, and I have a sword, but I don't like have an exquisite, like I wouldn't spend a lot of money on swords, or like, I like computers, but I wouldn't spend a lot of money on computers. I don't even think I really have that much of an exquisite taste. I kind of just go with what most people are like, that's cool, and I'm like, I guess it's cool.
All right. Next page. How do you act when others request your help to do something, anything? If you would decide to help them, why would you do so?
Usually I try to help people. I don't know. It's just, I think it's fun to be the guy that people like talk to when they need like help on something. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I'll help people if they need help, and it's usually with a good attitude. And I try not to be like condescending if I have to explain something to them.
All right. How long do you take to make an important decision? How would you go about it? And do you change your mind once you've made it?
If I'm gonna be honest, I don't take too long to make important decisions. I don't know. I don't really care that much. Like I'll do everything like last minute. Like I won't really contemplate the decisions I make very hard.
I see. If I asked you to design a plan of action, would it be easier to work alone or in a group? Do you ask for others' opinion or stick to your own guns?
I mean, I guess it depends on like the level of respect I have for the people I'm in a group with. Like with people I don't really respect, usually I'll try to take the reins and just say like fuck you. But if I'm in a group with people that I would like consider peers, or like people that I enjoy talking to, or people that I like respect their opinion on things, I'll take their advice and I'll go like, oh wow, that's true. Or like, what do you think about this sort of thing?
All right, that's interesting. A weekend best spent looks like.
Either hanging out with my girlfriend or playing video games.
All right. My biggest fears are.
My biggest fears, probably abandonment or like, heights. I hate heights. You know?
What are your biggest fears? I might add like a little extra to this. What are your biggest fears in like a sort of abstract sense?
Um, what do you mean, like abstract sense?
Like you said, you feared abandonment. Could you like elaborate more on that?
Oh, I don't know, like being the one like left out of things is like kind of bothering. It bothers me. Like I'll have anxiety over it sometimes. That like, or like people's opinion of you isn't the same as it normally as like you think it is, like as you perceive it to be.
I get that. How much do you express yourself, and what mediums do you do that through? Art, writing, talking?
I express myself pretty often, and yeah, talking pretty much all of them. I like in when I'm writing like an essay, I can express myself in that, or like if I'm drawing, if I'm playing music, all that kind of stuff.
All right. Generally, where do you lean politically? Is it every man for himself? Should people be pragmatic? Does the government need to step in and help people?
I think pragmatism's important. Where I stand politically, I don't really like when it comes to the whole thing with like socialism versus capitalism. I don't really care that much. Like I know that you can make arguments towards like the efficacy of like labor and like forces like that, but overall it just doesn't make sense to like argue about like a socialist utopia or like any form of socialism really when we're so far removed from it right now. I think incrementalism is probably the only way you would achieve something like that, and I think what I mean by incrementalism is just making society better in general, like just being progressive. So like little by little, like creating better healthcare, making it to where like people are paid fairly, and then if eventually you get to the point where like one of the only issues in society is that like there's a capitalist that's owning the means of production, and like all these workers are like being exploited, and then I think at that point you can say like, okay, well like how ethical is this, and then it's time to have like a conversation. But I don't really think it makes sense to talk about that now when like we have a homelessness crisis that can be solved through ulterior means, when we have housing crisis. I guess I just said homelessness crisis. We have like racism in police forces. We have immigration crises. I just feel like we have a lot bigger issues that hurt more people in a more profound sense, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Does it matter if something is factually correct for you to believe it?
Yeah, I think for the most part, like, I try not to believe things that I don't think are factually correct because I think that's dumb. Like, I don't think that really progresses society anywhere if that were to happen on like a larger scale.
Are emotions/feelings an important aspect of your life? If so, then why?
Yeah, I think so, because I think that like the whole thing with like facts versus feelings is really dumb. Like that people perpetuate that like idea because like generally we use logic to prove things are true, but the whole reason we do that is because we want to make society a better place and make people feel better in society, right? Like if you don't have emotion, then like what's the point in logic? So like for instance, like let's say they conduct a study on like homelessness, and they see that homelessness is like 70%, right? Like let's say like 70% of people are homeless, like something drastic like that, and you're like, oh well, homelessness is a problem, and then it's like, yeah, okay, but like why should we care? You don't really care unless you have like the emotion to care for people that are homeless, or unless you sort of put like that empathy towards human beings.
All right, that's interesting. How attached are you to reality?
I think I'm fairly attached to reality. I don't like sort of thinking about things that aren't gonna happen in my lifetime, or like don't like sort of dreaming about that kind of stuff. It's kind of dumb. Yeah.
All right. How thick-skinned are you? Are you sensitive to criticism?
I don't know. I feel like I can take a joke pretty well. Like people that criticize me, I don't care. It's the fake people that are like annoying. Like if they're like act like they're your friend, but then like they're like, oh, that guy, you know.
I get that. So that's actually the end of the questionnaire.
Okay.
I'll be posting this video on Reddit and see how people type you.
Ugh, Redditors. Okay.
Okay.